In the future, I would have liked to utilize every single gift I have. Growing up in DC during the early 90s and early 2000s, it was the chocolate city. Black women are the backbones of so many communities, and Black women are the head of so many households. Black girl magic is a beautiful thing. It's a movement that we love and we hold dear and we take seriously, but sometimes it does take away the humanness of it. Child, I'm like, y'all can't ask about no journey, child. You're going to be more specific, because I could be here for 20 minutes talking about the journey. It's so much I didn't even say, child. I'm Gia Peppers. I'm an entertainment journalist, on-air talent, podcaster, event host, multi-hyphenate creative, all the things, and I'm from Washington, D.C. My childhood upbringing was incredible. Growing up in the DMV, the DC and Maryland area was really so life-changing and so life-affirming, especially as a Black person in this country. I did not realize that Black excellence was a rarity. I didn't realize that not having Black doctors was a thing. Like, when I grew up, all of my aunts were my doctors. Like, I had never been to a white doctor until I went to college. And so when I went to college, I was like, y'all don't have Black doctors here? Like, I was legit shocked. Growing up, I just learned that I could be and do anything dependent on the choices that I made, depending on the work that I would put in, and depending on the love I showed to people around me, the family, my friends, the people who I would come in contact with. And I learned a lot of my hustle and my love for people from my mother. She is one of the illest women I know, definitely the biggest hustler. Has many jobs, and she's probably the reason why I have so many jobs. And then my dad is a journalist. So I grew up watching him in the newsroom at NPR. All that was possible in my life came from watching how they worked and did things. And so I have all the hustle of my mom and all the personality of my mom and the brain and you know, career pattern that my dad chose, the creative side.
She's had a busy day. Went down to the office today on 11/20/1990. We went to the newsroom. She said she wants to become a broadcaster.
My journey is always a three-pronged story, and I will try to keep it short for you. But I told you my dad was a journalist. When I was a baby, he legit brought me to the newsroom when I was 2 months old. He was filming me when we got back home, and he was telling my mom that I had gone to the newsroom, and I told everyone that I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. I was going through my phone to delete stuff, and I found the video literally 30 years to the day, the night before, and I found it. And when I tell you, I just bawled. Like, the tears just came out. And it was literally like I found it on 11/19. And it was, and the next day was 11/20, and the day that it was filmed was 11/20. And so it had literally been 30 years to the day that my dad said that. The date was what brought me back to purpose. Like, okay, your plan was bigger, Lord, than anything that I could ever want or understand for myself, because my dad was joking. But little did he know I would actually become a broadcast journalist. And so I think that is the beginning of my story. But then in college and high school, I grew up dancing, singing, and acting. I wanted to be, and still very much want to be, in front of the camera as a creative and a talent in that route as well. Like, I love acting. My other major in college was theater arts. When I went to college, I knew that I could marry my love for entertainment and journalism by becoming an entertainment reporter and following and reporting on the things that I was already watching and very passionate about anyway. And so that was I used to do the morning shows, morning news at my high school. I was that kid. I was in theater and in musical theater arts. I was cheerleader. I did all the things. When I graduated from college, I went to NABJ, the career fair, and my first industry job was overnights in the newsroom at CBS Radio News as a per diem desk associate, working from midnight to 8 a.m. I just freelanced and hustled my way with blogs and all different types of things. And I then started working with Ebro Darden at Hot 97, and he had a website called BlameEbro.com. We had met on a red carpet I interviewed him at for a blog, and he thought I was dope, and he was watching me, and he was just like, I think what you're doing is incredible. I think you should come work with me. When I got to Hot 97, I met all my 4 podcast hosts with Black Girl Pod, and we have been doing it for 4 years. And then I also started working with the Washington Wizards as the in-arena host for the Washington Wizards. The Washington Wizards was a major moment for me as well, because I've always grown up loving basketball. I played basketball in middle school, and growing up, I was a Wizards over fan. From there, we had shows with BET, digital shows with BET, VH1, Essence, you name it, I've probably worked there. But yeah, so that's definitely my journey. I have had so many people mentor me and see me when I couldn't see myself. And that is peer mentors, my tribe, whether that be Danielle Young or Sylvia Obel, Scotty Beam, whether that be Rebecca Francois, whether that be Alade, whether that be all of my circle, my people that I know who have seen me from when I had no shows to now. Kiana Stewart of Black Market Vintage. Like, there are so many people who I love and who love me. Nigeria Nicole, like so many people, again, who love me, that I have to always say thank you, because I've had so many conversations with my friends about throwing in the towel. Like, this is a very tough journey, right? Like, there are so many ups and downs. There are so many moments where you think, oh my God, this is gonna be the opportunity to change my life. And it is a no, or we're gonna go in a different direction even though you auditioned for 17 months. Like, it's a real journey. This journey, you need people who can see you when you cannot see yourself, and I cannot stress that enough. If you have a group around you that holds up a mirror to you and reminds you of the vision that you had in mind when you started dreaming and no one told you no, you can make it. Currently, I have 2 podcast shows that I am hosting or a part of. And so the first podcast that I was ever a part of is called Black Girl Podcast. It is, when we started it, the tagline was, it's the messiness behind the magic. I think so many times Black women are made to seem like we are superhuman. Like, yes, we do make $1 out of 15 cents, but sometimes you really just want the dollar, and it doesn't need to be that hard, right? Black Girl Magic came out of the necessity to make things work even though we didn't have it. Me, Scotty Beam, Rebecca Francois, Safira M, and Alicia Pamphile all came together years ago at Hot 97 and started a podcast that became our audio diary of how we grew as people spiritually, physically, mentally, sexually, all the things. We just had every conversation that mattered to us. And little by little, we realized how much it mattered to people to hear that they weren't alone in any journey or any walk. We pray on that podcast, we cry on that podcast, we talk about twerking on the podcast, we talk about braids and fine men, we talk about getting over heartbreak, we talk about it all. And then I just, again, the podcast that I have with Urban One, I1, shout out to Kathy Hughes, is called More Than That with Gia Peppers. And it is a show that essentially explores the conversations that really sprung up in 2020 in particular, where all of these things were happening, but we realized that as the community, the wellness conversations we were having are so diverse. And I say that meaning financial wellness, eating right, understanding why it's important to invest in your community, invest in yourself, like all of the things we were speaking about. It was more than just investing in Black business. It was like investing in the person. Like, how can we as a people be better in this world that is consistently trying to tell us that we do not matter? Like, as people, how can we take back the conversation and grow from the outside in? Being a Black woman in media is a beautiful experience, but it's also a very difficult experience at times. I know that right now, specifically in this moment, Black women are showing up and being valued in ways that, again, we haven't really seen in recent years. So it is a beautiful time to be a Black woman, a Black person in this media, especially entertainment space, because there is a lot of opportunity to make your dreams a reality. I will say that sometimes when you get into these deals and these major company and brands that want to work with creatives or Black creatives, they will belittle your expertise and your presence and try to lowball you and give you less money because you are Black and a woman. And so I have worked in situations where I found out what my male counterparts were making, and they were Black men, and they would tell me because they would want me to know. Or I would find out what other people on the staff who were not Black were making, and it would be a slap in the face 50% of the time. Sometimes it would be like, okay, we're good here. And then those other times I would have to learn to stand up for myself. And I hated that. I hated feeling like I do the same work, I show up at the same time, I probably go harder and I'm probably a little bit better than some of these people that you have here. And for some reason, because also age plays into that too. For some reason, because I'm younger than that, some of these folks, and because I'm a woman, you feel like Sally Mae doesn't call me as much. You feel like I don't also live in New York. Like, what are you saying to me about the value of who I am if you feel like you can pay me less than another person because I am a Black woman? And so, you know, when you invest in the Black woman, you invest in the culture, you invest in the community, you invest in the well-being of an entire people, right? And so I have made it my business to call it out. The advantages of being a Black woman in media is that there are so many of us killing the game right now. I mean, every single day you log on, it's another Black woman getting another deal, it's another thing happening, it's another person winning. And every single time one of us wins, all of us win, because there is more opportunity and there is more to be made, because usually the women who are winning are also creating tables of their own to keep the door open and to ensure that other Black creatives and Black women in particular are being heard. I think the major advantage is the movement of Black women supporting each other and being there for each other is very real. And I also think the inspiration is so tangible that if you are a creative and a person who is easily inspired, there's inspiration everywhere to look for and to learn from. I think there are women in every facet, whether they be doctors, and you know, I think there was a recent picture that went viral of doctors who were like OBs and you know, all these things that went viral, to, you know, creatives who are getting new deals, to lawyers who are saving the world, to Stacey Abrams, who is changing a whole state, a whole southern state that was red always to blue. Like, is there, I mean, it's the best sorority to be a part of, and I'm so happy to be a Black woman, and that's all I have to say, period.
Reporting already.
And here we have Gretchen Peppers.
A multi-hyphenate creative, in my own words, is someone who will never put their creativity in a box. It's somebody who will never allow one project or one opportunity to define what it is they can do or can be in any space at any given time. The advice that I have for multi-hyphenates and emerging multi-hyphenates and you know, multi-hyphenates now, is that it's never too late to go after your dreams, and what's for you will not miss you. And it's cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason, honey. They're true, they're tried and true. All of us were created with an individual specific purpose. And even if there are a whole bunch of people who are doing exactly what you want to do, no one is you, and no one can have your exact experience. You might be another on-air talent, but you're not exactly me. You don't have my sense of humor. You don't have my face. You don't have my mind. You don't have what I went through. You don't have my growing up in the environment in DC. You're not me, right? And I'm not you, and that's great. Because there are girls who look at me for different reasons and find things that inspire them to help them to follow what they want to do. And there will be women and men and people, all types of people, who look at every one of us and find something in them, in us, to make them want to move forward. And so I just always tell people, like, you don't know who's watching you, and you also don't know like what's inside of you until you try. And so if you're just holding on to everything, it'll never go anywhere. And so I always tell creatives, like, please, if there's something that you want to do, there's no reason at this moment with technology that you can't do it. If you're an up-and-coming on-air talent, you should have a show already. And if it could be 2 people watching that show, you and your mama every single day, but the show should exist. There's no reason why YouTube exists. If you're a photographer, you got a phone. I know you got a phone. And we see billboards all the time that be like, shot on the iPhone 12. And they're the most incredible pictures ever. Start shooting. If you're a writer, write. Like, develop your voice. If you are a singer, you should be practicing all of your scales and all of your vocal abilities and stretching them, because there are literal classes you can sign up for online. There's literally no reason why you shouldn't be doing what you want to do, or at least practicing to get to where you believe you can get to. And so, yeah, that is my advice. Like, what's for you is for you. And if you want to do it, now is the time.